It is a matter of privilege to have amidst us Shri Bhargav Dasgupta as our chief guest for Convocation Batch 2019-21. Please put your hands together as I now invite our esteemed chief guest to deliver the 33rd Convocation address.
Thank you. Respected Srimati Jayashree Mohta, Dr. Chaturvedi, Dr. Dubey, Dr. Verma, Dr. K.C. Arora, and Professor Dr. Chattaraj. Proud parents who are probably listening to this live, seeing this wonderful function, and this wonderful batch of 1921. Congratulations to all of you. This is a special day. You know, it's a great honor for me to be here. And if I'm candid with you, I'm facing what is known as the imposter syndrome. If you research this, what the imposter syndrome does is it makes you wonder whether you deserve to be here in the first place. When I look at some of the luminaries who've come and addressed you in the earlier chief guest functions, as chief guests in these functions, they are real tough acts to follow. So I do hope I measure up. About 3 months back in November, Professor Chattaraj reached out to me and asked me if I would do the honors. And I accepted gladly. I thought that, there was 3 months' time to prepare for the speech, and I did want to prepare for the speech. It was important, it was special, it was an honor. And exactly as all of you prepare for your exams or your special assignments, you want to work hard right from throughout the course. I also wanted to prepare for 3 months for the speech. And then last week, a letter came from Dr. Chaturvedi, giving me the program and asking me for the copy of the speech. That's when panic struck. Just like you, I hadn't prepared for the exam. I had left it for the last minute. So I sat down last week thinking about what to talk to you about. And then I realized it's an even bigger problem. What do I share with a bunch of smart, intelligent, very aware, very knowledgeable young people for whom today knowledge is at their fingertip? You just take out your phone and Google. And what about wisdom, the pearls of wisdom that you expect? These days you get every morning on your WhatsApp university pearls of wisdom, right? Single bit-sized memes. But there is an expectation, someone who's more than 50, grey hair, more than 30 years in corporate life, you expect to have some nuggets of knowledge, some unique wisdom. But the problem is when you go through life, you realize that knowledge has a funny picture. When you start out, it's got a shape of an inverted parabola. So if you have a x-axis of age and the y-axis is your conviction about your knowledge, you realize that it's an inverted parabola. So some of you who remembered the shape of the parabola, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. When you're very young, as a child, you know that you don't know much. And you're very keen to learn. And then as you go through your schooling, your college, and you come to the end of your academic, phase of your career or life, you think you know everything because you've reached the peak of your knowledge. And then when you go through life, you read more, you learn more, you keep the windows of your mind open, you realize that there is so much more to learn. What you get to realize is the level of your ignorance. So when I think about those days when I was like you in, just out of college, I thought I knew everything. When I joined the company that I joined, I thought, I know how to run this company better than the CEO. I knew what the problems of the country was and how to solve them. In fact, I'm sure all of you know what the Indian selectors should do in terms of who to make the captain so that India wins the World Cup. So all of you know that, right? But as I said, life teaches you that knowledge is a vast ocean and we are just dipping our feet in that ocean of knowledge. So what do I tell you? Life also teaches you that things are not black and white. You know, there are perspectives, there are nuances. There is no correct one answer. Every question has two different answers and both could be correct. So life teaches you a lot. But then life is also full of stories, right? Good stories, bad stories, happy stories, sad stories. Some simple, some profound. And these stories give you those perspectives, give you those experiences, teach you lessons which you can only learn by going through life. So I thought I'll share 3 of those stories that have taught me lessons, which I hope as you join your professional life will help you sometime or the other, because there'll be some times where you will need those lessons. So my first story is set in 1970. I was a very young boy, maybe 4 and 5 years old. This is actually one of my first memories of my life. So we were growing up in this middle class locality in Calcutta. My parents loved gardening and my mother particularly loved flowers. And across the road there was this house with a bigger garden, beautiful lawn. And in the garden they used to grow these beautiful flowers, dahlias, chrysanthemums, roses. And in the winters we would go and play in their lawn. Now one day after our afternoon games, 2-3 of us, I think 3 of us who were about our same age, 4-5 years old, kids, we saw these flowers and we felt that these flowers are so beautiful, they should be at our homes. Why should they be here? So we just went out and plucked as many of these flowers as we could. Half bloom, full bloom, buds, and we just took them home. And I thought my mother would be very happy. She loved flowers, right? And she was like an usual Indian mother, very loving, very warm, very caring. So I was looking forward to a lot of shabashi, maybe some hugs. But boy, was I wrong. I saw a different side of my mother. She gave me the worst scolding of my life till that day. I didn't end there. She told me that you must take these flowers, go back to the neighbor and say sorry. I was shattered. I mean, I said, I pleaded, I requested, but she was adamant. I had no choice. So I remember this is one of those sinking feelings in your stomach. In your stomach, you feel small, you feel terrible. And I was standing outside this neighbor's door, ringing the bell, waiting for the door to open, hating every moment. And the door opens, this lady comes out and takes me in, and I tell her what has happened and I say sorry. So she listens to me and just laughs. And then she speaks kindly with me. She gives me a glass of cold drink, which I happily have. Who doesn't like cold drinks at that age? And that was the end of my punishment. So that incident taught me 3 lessons in life. The first one was a management lesson on a lighter vein. Never take your consumer for granted. Really understand what the consumer wants. I thought my mother loved flowers. I didn't realize that to her, how I got those flowers for her were more important than the flowers themselves. But there are 2 very important life lessons. One was the importance of taking responsibility for your actions. And the second, even more important lesson was that when you make a mistake, be the first one to acknowledge, to own the mistake. That day, if our neighbor, that lady, had discovered her broken garden before I went and told her, she would have not been so charitable. She would not have been so kind. She would have been upset. She would have been angry. She may have figure out who had done it and come home and complain. The fact that I went and complained and she discovered that through me, as I was apologizing, took the sting away. To me, that's been one of the biggest lessons in life. And through your career, there'll be times when something under your watch will go wrong, something you'll mess up somewhere. At that point in time, I would hope that you own up and you take responsibility. Let me tell you one thing, my experience is that when you take control, when you take responsibility, it is very, very, very liberating. It takes away anxiety. It gives you a sense of control over your own life. You don't worry about what others have done to you. You think about what you could have done to prevent something from going wrong. To me, that was one important lesson of my life learned at a very early age. And I hope when something happens in your own lives, in your careers, you'll have that same courage, same conviction to own up. Trust me, it's the best way. My second story is more recent, maybe about 9-10 years back. I was already in ICICI Lombard, going around the country meeting agents. So in one of these meetings, there was about 40-50 agents, big important agents of that particular city. And I was meeting them, I was getting to know them. So it was like a typical town hall. We were having very common conversations about the industry, about growth, about their business, products, commission. I was getting to know them. I was asking questions about their business. They were asking questions about our company, and I was explaining. And as we were going around the room, there was this one old agent who was one of the oldest one, someone who clearly commanded a lot of respect of the other agents. He was maybe 65, 70 years old. And when his turn came, and I asked him about his business, he stood up and he started speaking. And as he did, he taught me another huge lesson in life. He stood up and he talked about his business. He said his insurance company, the insurance business, agency business, was set up by his great-grandfather in the British era, 100 years back. And it was business that had been continued by his grandfather, by his father, and by him. And then he paused and he looked around the room and he asked everyone, do you know why this is so? Why my family has been doing this business? Why I still continue to do this business that my great-grandfather set up? And he paused for effect. And then he said, because we do God's work. And he said that, and he said that with so much of conviction, so much of passion, that the room fell silent. It was one of those moments, one of those goosebump moments. And then he explained, he said, what we do is when things go bad for our customers, when they're down, they have ill health, they have an accident, something has burned down, that's when we come and help them get back to their feet. So he taught us a lesson in purpose. All of you read management books, people talk about organization purpose. That man that day taught me a lesson of purpose, a lesson of passion for one's work. Now, why am I telling you this story? Is it to tell you that you should be passionate about the work that you do or follow your dreams, follow your heart? That's very cliched, right? That's one of those WhatsApp lessons that come every day. No, the reason why I'm telling you the story is for two reasons. One, if you realized why that man felt so passionate about his work, was not because of self-interest. As you go through life, and this is true for all of us as we've gone through our early days of career, you believe that your biggest joy, biggest motivation comes from the size of your paycheck, your designation, your promotions every other day. And after some time in life, you realize that true motivation, true joy, true enjoyment of your work comes if your motivation comes from something outside of yourself, something bigger than yourself. Maybe setting up a great organization, maybe doing something which solves a problem of society, maybe helping customers in distress, maybe helping your team, your colleagues achieve their true potential. That's the lesson that old man taught me that day. And the other lesson that I wanted to share with you is that you'll always be surprised to find passionate people in surprising places. There is a view that you can be passionate about only this job or only that job. That is not so. In my career, when I started, and from then on, I've been a shop floor engineer, I've been a credit analyst, I've been a project finance officer, I've been a startup incubator, I've been an international banker, I've been a life insurer, right now I'm running a general insurance company. At the start of my career, I never imagined that I would do all of these things. You can't plan your career even if you think that you can. And to me, each of those jobs have taught me a lot. They've been very enjoyable. There's been something very engaging, something very enjoyable about every one of those jobs. And if at any point in time I had felt that this role, and by the way, all these jobs were not something that I desired. Some of them I did, some of them were given to me. So at each of these stages, if I had felt that I do not like this job, I like that other job, it is I who would have lost out. So the reason why I'm sharing this story is to request you and advise you and suggest to you that there is something to learn, something to enjoy, something to be passionate about everything that you do. And that is the choice that you make, whether to like the work that you do or hanker for something else. So as I said, the standard meme says that if you find the job that you love, you'll never work a single day. But I would say that not only go for the job that you love, but love everything that you do. That will take you places. My third story is not really a story. It's about the 30 years of experience in ICICI Group. When I started, it was just around the time of financial liberalization. Business was simple, very low competition, credit spreads were administered. It was easy business. It was like rationing of the business. And then 91 financial liberalization completely disrupted the business model. And through those 30 years, I've seen the organization completely transformed, kind of turn topsy-turvy. I've seen days of heady growth. I've seen days which are full of crises where everything seems hopeless. And I've been fortunate to see people of some brilliant leaders in that period. Some of my leaders, business leaders who are doyens of the industry. Some of my peers who have set blazing trails for themselves. Some of my juniors who are very talented and have become industry leaders themselves. And one thing that I've seen observing the company and these individuals is that successful businesses that you see and you applaud from outside have all gone through very, very difficult times. They've had terrible struggles. They've had very serious crises. And the true leaders are the ones that deal with that crisis well. They take it in their stride, learn from it, come out of it strong, show resilience. I was talking to Dr. Chaturvedi, and honestly, what you guys have gone through during the crisis of this pandemic is really something that has made you resilient. So at one level you may feel that you missed out something, but another level I personally believe has made you much stronger. So that's a big lesson that I've seen, that resilience is key, because life is not a bed of roses. You have your ups and downs. And the other lesson in those difficult times is that you need support systems, and the best support system that you have is here around yourself. These 2 years you've spent time together, you've bonded, you've studied together, you've been at canteens, you've played, you've made music, you've probably done drama, gone to movies. You've formed strong bonds of friendships. Don't let them go, because these are friends who will be around you when you need them the most. So when any one of your group needs any help, please reach out and help them. And if you are down, don't feel shy of reaching out. Your batch will be your biggest support group, at least that's my experience. So these were the 3 stories that I wanted to tell you. A story of the lessons that I learned out of them, the lessons of taking ownership, of true passion, and of resilience. Your batch is coming out, you're now done your academic work and you're now coming into, professional world. And there's a saying which says that may you live in interesting times. It's supposed to be a curse, but I think it's a blessing. Who wants to live in boring times, particularly when you're young and raring to go? And you're coming out at a time the world is very interesting because there's a huge change happening. Geopolitics, the power of the world is shifting from the west to east. Technology is disrupting every business. Huge global liquidity which is funding that investment in technology. And consumer behavior changes that are changing the way consumers expect you to behave, as companies. And these changes are very, very positive for India. As the power shifts from west to east, India is at the right place at the right time. And as you come into that country, this country feels very different from the country that we grew up in. It's full of energy, it's full of opportunity, it's pregnant with possibilities. And you have the opportunity of making that happen and in the process succeeding for yourselves. And I do hope that as you come to this economy and you shape well and you succeed, I really wish you tremendous success. And I know that most of you will do really well for yourselves and be real leaders. But remember, for every successful and a powerful leader in this country, there are 100 people who need your help and your support. So retain your kindness, retain your sense of empathy, retain your sense of responsibility for your fellow countrymen. Batch of 1921, I again congratulate you for whatever you achieved today. And I wish you well. I wish you all the success. May you achieve your true potential, make yourself, your institute and your parents proud. And as you succeed, stay humane, stay humble and be happy. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Dasgupta. How are you?
Fine, ma'am. Thank you. It's been an honor to be here with you.
So nice to have met you, not in person, but at least on the screen I've met you. And your talk was so inspiring. And as you said, it was not cliched. You gave actual stories and examples which made it so interesting. And not only can you hear me?
Yes, of course, I can hear you, ma'am.
Not only are the students must be very inspired, but I myself am very inspired, And we have tea plantations, and I'm going to go into it again with great fervor and with all the advice which you have given, all the inspiration that you have given. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you, ma'am. Thank you.